Hi, everyone, and welcome. We are going to be talking about rise and shine, about our sleep, and so that we are not tired when we are waking up. If you have any questions, please feel free to give Dr. Justine a quick text at 647-987-9355. I wanted to welcome Dr. Justine. She is our leader here at the Justine Blainey Wellness Center, and she is a passionate warrior for your and your family's health because she wants to provide you with the best care so that you can be the very best version of yourself. Please help me welcome Dr. Justine.
Hello, everyone. Who doesn't want to wake up with more energy, more joie de vivre, more ability to attack your day? So that's what we're covering today. But we have upcoming talks on sleep quality through great nutrition, ways to absorb your nutrition better, how to deal with stenosis. Very, very difficult when the holes get smaller where the nerves exit. That's stenosis. So it can be central or lateral. So now one of our co-op students did an exercise program for stenosis. That's a specific condition that can happen in your lower back. And then we have information about toxins because with Max Living, we like to cover the 5 essentials: maximizing your mind, maximizing your nutrition, maximizing your exercise, maximizing your nervous system, brain activity. And the last one is minimize toxins. So lots of great information coming up. Our mission is to serve you with those 5 essentials, information about the 5 essentials so you can be your very best for yourself, for your family, for your community, for volunteering, to be able to have the energy, the drive in order to be able to serve. So we want to help you with Max Living through the 5 essentials of health. So today we're covering information about how to rise and shine and have the energy you deserve. What is sleep? How do we sleep? What are sleep problems and what are they caused by? And of course, the end part is how do we sleep better? What are the tips? So that is coming your way. Sleep problems are common. They can help affect 50 to 70 million people. They say that 1 in 3 adults don't get quality sleep and that 40% can accidentally fall asleep during the day. I can tell you when I was breastfeeding that 4 years with my 2 young kids, I would fall asleep standing up. I would fall asleep mid conversation. I could fall asleep at the wheel, which was even more dangerous. Like there are times in our life when you're that busy, especially breastfeeding, you're up every 3 hours. There's tired times. So how do we make sure that we get quality sleep if we can't get quantity of sleep that we think we want? So we've got a lot of challenges to cover. When we don't get sleep, that can cause diseases and affect different diseases. It can affect how your immune system functions, how your heart functions, how your blood supply functions, oxygen to your brain for Alzheimer's. It can affect insulin resistance, make you want to eat more for energy. It can affect moods and depression. And many people are getting less than 6 hours a night, which it can be a problem, especially if it's tossing and turning problems for your sleep and not good quality. Our goal is to get 6.5 to 7 hours sleep. 7.5 over 8 is typically not needed unless you're a child, teenager, or senior. But typically in that 6.5 to 8 window is your best. So here are some signs if you're not getting enough quantity of sleep. You're irritable, you're moody, you can't focus, or your memory is lost. Your blood pressure goes up, you have frequent colds, you feel like you need to sleep in on the weekends, or not napping can be great, but needing or feeling like you can't wait till the next nap and constantly needing that. Blood sugar is going up, feeling like you're gaining weight, needing caffeine to getting going, and you just want to hit that snooze and hit that snooze. If you feel like you're hitting the snooze twice a morning, this is the talk for you. They have studies that just show that the lack of sleep actually affects your brain and the chemicals in brain, and affects how your body gets rid of toxins in your brain. So when we look at the sleep activity, when you're sleeping, your norepinephrine, your hormone that can go down, and when you're sleeping, that helps you get rid of waste through lymphatic flow. So we need the sleep to get rid of the toxins that go to our brain And when we're awake, that's when the norepinephrine goes on. It's when we're sleeping that we detoxify the biotoxins, the heavy metals, the infectious bacteria, and that's called that glyphatic flow. So we want to get that good detox and not be able to also have a buildup of the amyloid plaques. And that's what people tend to talk about with Alzheimer's. So sleep versus males versus females. Females tend to need maybe just a little bit more than males. That's not true in my household. So I think there's always variations. I tend to need less sleep than my husband. Um, when females tend to have a higher percentage of non-REM sleep, more likely to have sleep concerns. That might be because we worry more. I don't have a stat or proof to that, but I do tend to find that women tend to stress or worry more or feel like multitasking, like never put the merry-go-round down. So they build up challenges of sleep or pressure through the day. And so they can get into the deeper REM sleep quicker than men, but that doesn't necessarily always mean that it's quality or you're there a long time. So women tend to be more prone to the anxiety or sleep anxiety challenges. So definitely trying to reach that homeostasis or that balance can be more difficult for women. Culturally, there's this thing that like I'm tough. I don't need sleep. Like, oh, I survive on 5 hours sleep. I don't need it. But that's just not true. And I've been guilty of that. Like, oh, no problem. I'll work on 5 hours. It does depend if that 5 hours is in a row versus disrupted. So certainly when I was breastfeeding and not getting 5 hours in a row is much more difficult and not necessarily healthy to have chronically over the long term. We do need that 5 hours solid in a row, ideally to 6.5, 7.5 hours to affect all the systems in our body to be able to function mentally, physically at our best. So when you look at how much sleep here, you can see that newborns, infants, toddlers, preschoolers, teens, they tend to need more, as well as our seniors needing more sleep. So there are different stages of sleep. You have that light sleep, you're relaxed but easily awake. That's kind of, for me, if my kids are out, I'm listening for the door to see if they come home. Or I know when you have young ones, I felt like I was always in light sleep. I was always listening. If they woke up, I was waking up right away. We have that deep sleep that your core temperature drops, your heart rate drops, your breathing drops, versus the REM dream sleep. We need all these different types of sleep. The non-REM, that's when we can kind of let go in the deep sleep. But in the REM, that's when we're emotionalizing, stabilizing, and that's when we're healing. So we want to make sure we're alternating back and forth between that deep sleep and that REM sleep. We do want to reach that circadian rhythm. And so if you look at this cycle, you see between midnight and noon, there's different levels of sleep and wakefulness, eating times, hunger times, emotional times, your temperature dropping when you sleep, your metabolic rate, and when we release those hormones. So we want to be able to look at when melatonin is at its deepest, because melatonin is super important for us to be able to get that quality sleep. And then the cortisols, those stress hormones, peaking around 7 a.m. So even if your circadian rhythm is at a different time because you work nights, you want to try, or we want to try and have a similar rhythm all the time. So if you're staying up late and then alternating with staying up late and then going to bed early, it doesn't work as well as if you have a similar bedtime all the time and a similar wakefulness all the time. I know as a teenager, I think, oh, weekend, sleep until, 9, 10 a.m., but that still messes up your circadian rhythm. So when on holidays, you certainly can change it by about a half an hour, but once it's over an hour and you change that rhythm, much more difficult to adapt. And that's why you find when you change time zones, it can take a week or more to recover. Certainly, this circadian rhythm also affects athletic performance. That's why you see top level athletes will travel to a place early to help their body to adapt. So when you look at these melatonin levels, you'll see that 4 a.m. peak level before it drops in the early morning. And so the brain usually triggers that level of melatonin being released, and that's best in pure darkness. And so that's why those blackout blinds can be super important, even for naps, or even for my kids. We got them because they had to get up so early for figure skating. They were on the ice at 6 a.m. So that meant trying to go to bed, and it was still light out in the summers. So those blackout clouds will allow that melatonin production. The melatonin doesn't generate your sleep, but it helps with the timing of your sleep and initiating that sleep process. So when you look at the light affects your hypothalamus, which is in your skull here, and that will affect your serotonin being produced. And serotonin is that one that gives you those happy feelings, that energized feeling, versus the melatonin, which helps you relax and sleep. So we want to, during the day, build up that adenosine that will help slowly build up that sleep pressure. But part of it is right away getting that sunlight. So first thing in the morning, if you can, getting that sun on your eyeballs will help you set your internal clock, like setting your watch. Sleep pressure is related to that adenosine. It's a chemical that builds up in your brain throughout the day, and throughout the day increases your desire to sleep. But caffeine shuts that down, okay? So that's why, your caffeine in the morning and not after lunch, because it'll hijack and affect these receptors, so it messes up with your sleepfulness. And that's why, if you have a coffee after dinner, for example, it can affect getting to sleep. But even high levels of exercise late at night can affect your sleep production. And if it doesn't, then that means that your body also is out of rhythm and not realizing those receptors. So caffeine, for many people, it is abused. We need that to wakeful, or it's so easy to get addicted to the caffeine, to that Tim's coffee and whatever that's, is also in that styrofoam cup, or that cardboard cup, what's laced in so that it's slippery. Those are all chemicals that are going into our body, and one of the reasons to do those detoxes. Typically, that caffeine spike, that energy, is 30 minutes later. But it does take the body about 5 to 7 hours to manage that caffeine. So that's why trying to have it in the early mornings before noon is the best possible. Now, cortisol is your stress hormone. So Dr. Sarah talks about the hormone reset diet to control your cortisol, because your cortisol affects your blood pressure. So therefore, it's going to affect how every system in your body is affected, including things like diabetes. And when your cortisol goes up and we're under increased stress and we're pulling our hair out, that also affects our immune system. And the modern day lifestyle does increase our stress, increase our responses. And so it's important to do look at our past talks, at those breathing exercises, because it's easy to get into that chronic stress, that chronic increased cortisol, and we need times to drop it. And some of the easiest ways and free ways to do it is through those breathing responses, those vagal tone exercises that we have on previous talks. And when you do the breathing exercises, the vagal tone exercises, like the humming, the 4-7-8 breathing, the 10-10, the singing, the gargling, all those activities will help reduce the cortisol and reduce insomnia effects. So when we look at the cortisol, typically it's at the highest right when you wake, and then throughout the day it goes down and down and down. And that's why typically people need a siesta, after lunch. And if you look at some of the Mediterranean countries, they all have this like downtime, shut their businesses for right after lunch, between 2 and 3 p.m., 2 and 4 p.m., which allows them to re-energize for the rest of the day. But over the 24-hour period, we're rising with cortisol and it's going down. So cortisol is your friend. It's not all bad. It helps us perform better. It definitely helps with athletic performance. And you want it to make sure it's not spiking before you wake or too early in the morning, because that's going to make our minds race. It helps you feel edgy or irritable in the morning, or unfortunately look towards a mid-morning crash. And that's typically if people have poor breakfast, like cereals, bagels, high carb breakfast without protein and healthy fats. You tend to have that 10 a.m. Or 9 a.m., depending on when you woke up, a crash. So the goal is that throughout the day, the adrenal fatigue is the opposite of the cortisol. Your adrenals are getting more fatigued over time towards going to bed. Um, High evening cortisol levels can be related to or aggravated, the cortisol going up, for example, watching the negative news, watching politics right before bed, watching TV in bed. Don't encourage having a TV in bed. For most, it's the blue light is difficult for your increased cortisol response. And typically, we're not watching something that relaxes us, like watching the waves or watching a sunset. Typically, people are watching something that actually gets them excited, and they fall asleep despite themselves, rather than getting themselves into that truly relaxed state for sleep, a cool environment, and an area free of technology. Your phones, make sure they're not by your bed, put them in the bathroom for charging, in the kitchen for charging, but away from your head. Getting away from those extreme heavy workouts right before bed. I know that affects me. Playing hockey is often late at night, so it's hard to get to sleep. It typically takes about 3 hours to come down from a heavy workout. And then when you find you have that adrenal fatigue, if you're not getting that adrenal fatigue, it's hard to get to sleep. So when you have extreme adrenal fatigue, it's flatlined. We don't have energy when we wake up, and we don't have energy in the middle of the day. And so adrenal fatigue can be a concern. You want to talk to the naturopath about that. And there are adrenal supplements. There are exercises and breathing exercises to improve adrenal function. Um, and reading before bed would be a better activity, breathing, meditation, prayer before bed, to reduce that sleep pressure. Cortisol isn't just produced as a response to stress, but that chronic stress can put us like in that overdrive. So we feel like we're not getting that sleep. So if you're in that adrenal fatigue, it can be affected by uh, overwhelm with work deadlines, not having a set schedule. For us, if I work with Angela, our goal is always 6 weeks in advance. Try to have everything 6 weeks ahead, so that if something comes up, it doesn't stress you out. Um, Too much coffee, not getting naps, not getting just even a time to lay down to without sleeping to relax, can cause a challenge. One of my challenges, and you can tell here, I'm a fast talker. So, it means that when my husband's a slow talker, the fast talker, the fast moving all the time, can be something that can lead towards adrenal fatigue. And then that can lead to high cortisol, high blood pressure, high sugar levels, affecting gut health. And so it can also, this high adrenal fatigue can affect your gut health, can affect your skin, can affect your hormones. So it's truly related to all different diseases and affected by that quality and quantity of sleep. So if you have this adrenal fatigue, super important to talk to your chiropractor, because getting adjusted does help the stress response, which then affects the adrenal fatigue, but also talking to the naturopath about supplements and acupuncture can help as well. Now, I love naps. I actually plan my week for naps, typically Tuesday about 20 minutes, Wednesdays and Fridays. So 3 days a week, if I can on the weekend, 4 days a week. The key is not like a 2 hour nap. That gets you right into that REM sleep. You want anywhere between that, for me, 12 minutes to 20 minutes. If most people, they hit the 45 minutes, it's too long. You wake up groggy, you feel worse. Some people say they can't get to sleep for a nap, but that doesn't mean you can't just rest. That means laying down, taking the pressure off your spine, off your discs, closing your eyes, or just focusing on visualization, meditation. It doesn't actually have to mean you're fully asleep. Napping has been shown to improve your alertness, your learning, your memory, your concentration. So during school, I would often just lay down for 10 minutes and let my mind process what I studied. Then 10 minutes later, get back up, study again for a couple hours, lay down, let my mind process. Or I would play my notes that are really important to me, things I needed to memorize, a presentation, play it back while I'm laying down. So I'm listening to it rather than reading it, to allow my body to learn that material in a more calm state, which lowers that cortisol response, so that when your cortisol is lower, and you have less adrenal fatigue, you're able to learn and retain that much easier. Everybody's rhythm for sleep is different, but typically the hours before bed matter the most. Getting yourself in bed by 10 o'clock, 10:30 is much better than midnight till 7 a.m. So it's the time before that makes a difference. Many people, we're talking, the research shows about 40% don't feel wakefulness in the morning, and feel, many people are like the night people. So my husband's much more of a night person. I'm much more of a morning person. We're all a little bit different. That still doesn't mean that we can't adapt to those changes and make sure we get a set rhythm, even if it's some of that is through our genetics and something that we can't control. When we don't get sleep, that is a challenge, because that's like the oil light going on in your car. That is leading towards health and disease. So it leads towards interference in how your body detoxes, how your body regains that energy. So if you're having challenge with sleep, this is the time to talk to a professional. Talk to your naturopath, talk to your acupuncturist, talk to your chiropractor, talk to your osteopath, in order to help your body naturally, without drugs and medication, as much as possible, get the sleep you deserve. And one of the ways to do that is with the 5 essentials of max living. That's maximizing your nervous system, that reduces the stress on your brain and your nerves, relaxing your muscles, improving your nutrition and supplements, working towards that proper mindset with your breathing exercise, prayer, meditation, getting your exercises earlier in the day, and minimizing those toxins. When you're working with your nervous system, that will help your sympathetic stress. Your sympathetic stress is your fight or flight, when you feel like you're running and your brain is going haywire. And your parasympathetic is your rest, relax, and digest. We need that balance. And so during the day, we can be in that sympathetic rush, but during the evenings, we want our bodies to be able to calm down, and get into that relaxed, low cortisol state. So if we get poor sleep, that's going to throw us into a sympathetic drive, that fight or flight, and feeling like that overwhelm. We're breathing faster, our heart rate's faster, our moodiness is affected, and we can feel stuck. So what we want to talk to you right now, this is the best part. We're going to talk about 15 ways to improve that healthy sleep, to help you best. And so starting with number 1 is the temperature. Make sure that your room is cooler. This is one of the areas that I see with seniors, including my own mom. She likes the house warmer during the day. She gets colder faster, but at night we need to set that temperature to a cooler amount, so they can get a better quality sleep. And some people will talk about sleeping naked or cooler pajamas, but that helps keep your body temperature down. You do typically want your feet warm, especially for seniors. For those who are really hot in general, like my husband, that's when the feet are outside the covers. And choosing your sheets, you can choose that are cooler sheets. You can choose bamboo pillows that help absorb the heat, or water pillows that help absorb the heat, to make it easier, and avoid things like wool that will hold the heat, to help you get a better quality sleep. Number 2 is a bath or a shower, or Epsom salts, or essential oils will help your body to drop that temperature to get a better quality sleep. Number 3 is setting the mood. So dimming the lights a couple of hours before bed. That's around the entire house. Turning off more lights in your own bedroom. Don't have the lights on. Have like a night light on. Even in the bathroom, a lower light so that you're not turning the whole light switch on. Looking towards quiet, less music, less noise, less TV. The moving more slowly, reading, meditation, prayer, and creating that nighttime routine. So for me, for example, I always put my clothes out the night before. So there's less thinking in the morning. Checking, for example, for you, if you're exercising outside, what's the temperature? So you get your exercise clothes out in the morning. Preparing your lunch the night before. What is your nighttime routine? For example, I like my tea in the morning. So I put hot, water in the kettle. So I just have to push the button in the morning. Creating that routine and that mood so that you're going to get a better quality sleep. You have less to think about, less to stress about. For some, it's turning towards the Bible or turning towards some form of spirituality, something that relaxes you, a gratefulness list, rather written or orally, to focus on good things to get yourself in that right mood. Number four is definitely darkening the room. So getting rid of that technology. But if you are using an iPad to read, lowering the light, because that will affect your REM sleep. So you want to protect your eyes before bed. And reducing the amount of light. And that includes, unfortunately, driving. And that's why your eyes change, and that can affect things like night vision. One of the things that I am challenged with is just seeing the lights feel brighter. So the goal is for some people, they'll use candles, but creating the mood and the night shades, but creating an atmosphere that's going to help your body sleep better. Number 5 is limiting your caffeine. I'm not going to say I'm perfect. I'm a tea drinker, but definitely, before bed, it'd be more things that would like a peppermint tea or chamomile tea, looking towards a herbal tea, and trying to stay away from that caffeine or chocolate, things that increase your sugar response right before bed. Number 6 is limiting alcohol. I grew up with, parents that loved a drink right before bed. They always would say that would improve their sleep, but really alcohol turns to sugar. And so then that can make you maybe feel like you're going to get to sleep, or you feel more relaxed, but then you're waking up in the middle of the night. So it actually can block that good quality REM sleep. So the research on a nightcap isn't there. It isn't a promoter of natural sleep. I'm not saying no alcohol, because there are research from the Mediterranean that a glass of wine isn't a challenge. But the problem is if it's repetitive or used as a sedative, it doesn't work in the long term. Number 8 is turn that phone down. Turn the things, the Facebook, the Instagram, the social media that stimulates your mind, that gets you revved up or angry about politics, or even stimulated about a new exercise routine. Trying to have no phones, no tablets, no laptops right before bed would help you get better quality sleep. So they talk about what fires together, wires together. It will trick your brain to getting things done. So we don't want to reinforce that association. And the goal is to have relaxation time, rest from your eyes right before bed. Number 9 is focusing on getting quality sunshine every single day, especially in the morning. So that, for example, if you're on holidays, you're in Mexico, you're in Jamaica, for us, even at the cottage, there are no blinds. So as soon as the sun rises, you're awake, you're alert. So goal is to get that positive energy from the sunrise, from the sunset. That's going to help your vitamin D levels, which will improve your immune system, improve production of serotonin, to give you that energy, give you that rush, and also help you with your nighttime routines and melatonin. So even always wearing sunglasses can affect your ability to absorb the sun. So some time outside and is definitely important for all of us. Number 10 is eliminating or limiting those nighttime snacks, especially ones that are carbohydrates or sweets, chocolate right before bed, even milk right before bed because it turns to sugar, juice right before, fruit right before. So looking for healthy fats, healthy proteins right before bed so that that will help produce melatonin rather than produce sugars. We do want to look towards healthy, maximize living nutrition. So the core plan is healthy proteins, healthy fats, healthy grains. That's sprouted whole grains. Healthy proteins, looking towards free range wild fish, free range fish, chicken and meats. Looking towards plant based proteins so that you're getting those healthy proteins and limiting your sugars or things that make a sugar. So if you're having your fruits, you're having them first thing in the morning. If you're looking towards the advanced plan, that is more short term for if you have different types of heart disease, high triglycerides, pain, arthritis, weight management. You're trying to detox. You're going to try and get those healthy whole foods, limit those snacks, limit the breads, and looking towards whole sprouted like Ezekiel bread, reducing sugars to stevia, xylitol, honey, pure unpasteurized maple syrup, moderate proteins, because that too much protein can also lead to acidic environment. But you still, the more protein you have, the more your metabolic rate will be faster, so you can burn more quality calories. You're looking at quality, not just quantity of food, looking towards grass-fed, cows, free-range chicken, wild fish, and really those healthy fats like avocados, nuts, seeds, coconut. When we look at the food, we want consistent timing. And that's part of the reason is people stay up late through the weekend, so then they get the morning blues. Also, many times people change their habits through the weekend. So that's why Sundays, they think they're going to relax. And that's when they get their headaches, their migraines, the pain is actually increased because it's secondary. As soon as they their let down, they let the guard down. So definitely if you're on the weekends, changing by about a half an hour, but when it's too much, it does affect our internal clock. So creating a better routine on the weekends and on holidays. That consistent timing and that routine is going to affect getting up. So always talking to yourself, those affirmations, my commitments are stronger than my feelings at the moment. So if you think you're hitting the snooze, it's just 5-second rule. Decide in 5 seconds, think about, is this really what I need, or do I need to get my butt out of bed? That 5-second rule. Get yourself moving, get in the warm shower, because that SAD, seasonal affective disorder, especially in the winter, being affected by the dark and not getting that sunlight, can make us feel like we just want to cuddle in the, in the sheets, in the bed. And really just once we get ourselves moving, get a warm shower, we actually feel so much better. Making sure as you're changing your habits, what could happen if you just got up 30 minutes earlier? If you change by too much, then you're exhausted. By changing your morning routine by 15 minutes to 30 minutes, a little bit of time helps you get up earlier and go to bed earlier and get that quality sleep. So what if you were able to get, 5-10 minutes of a YouTube stretch routine? There's many yogas with Adrienne, many different options of a morning stretch. We have it on our website as well. But how to get yourself moving in the morning to get that wakefulness, creating that healthy smoothie, the healthy foods in the morning, healthy breakfast, trying to read something inspiring or read something in the Bible. I use Neil Diamond Walsh. I get a little email every morning that has an uplifting message. I use Darren Hardy as an uplifting message. I prepare an uplifting message in the evening just to get a positive vision, a positive thought to start your day every day, and creating that routine so that you don't have to think about it anymore. It's staying on top of it every single day. This has been proven. If you make your bed, it starts your day with doing one thing right every single day. So if it's not the day you're cleaning the sheets, try to make your bed every single day. It also helps for getting to sleep better when you get into a made bed. So start your day doing one thing right, and that will improve your sleep by 20%. Number 13, getting adjusted. That will help your nervous system. It'll help get you into homeostasis, a balanced state. And we have so many patients that tell us that when they get adjusted on a regular basis, it improves their sleep. Not just getting adjusted for pain, but helping getting adjusted to regulate that nervous system. Your sympathetic system, again, that fight or flight, feels like you're running from a bear, the survival, dealing with threats. We want to calm that down with a positive adjustment to get in that parasympathetic state. That's when your body is healing, the hormones function better, your immune system functions better, your moods are better, your concentration's better, you relax better, and you get into that parasympathetic state with less stress by getting regular chiropractic adjustments. So if you look at the nervous system, it controls every tissue, cell, and organ in your body. The nerves in your neck work to your eyes, your ears, your sinuses, affect the blood flow to your head, affect your thyroid, affecting your hands, affect that tension in your shoulders. So always making sure you work towards that banana C curve in your neck, which will reduce that tension in your neck and help reduce that sympathetic stress. Number 14 is doing different breathing exercises. These are ones that reduce vagal tone stress. That's the vagus nerve, comes from the top part of your neck. And we have talks on that you can check on YouTube. But a 10 in and a 10 out, a 10 in and a 10 out. And then as you get better, 15, 15, and then a little harder is 20, 20. So you might do it just for a couple minutes, 20 seconds in, 20 seconds out. When you slow your breathing, your heart rate slows down, your breathing rate slows down, the tension in your scalenes, which are breathing muscles, relax. The 4x4 is breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4. In for 4, hold for 4. Out for 4, hold for 4. So you do this again through a cycle of a couple of minutes. And the 4-7-8 is a vagal tone breathing. You breathe in for 4, hold for 7, breathe out for 8. And you might do 3 to 5 cycles, breathe normally, and then do 3 to 5 cycles. Number 15 is the position of sleeping. So if you're sleeping on your back, the soldier sleep, best to have your sleep rolls to help you maintain your proper curves of your neck and low back, and a pillow under your knees. If you're the starfish sleeper, no problem. That's stretching through your pecs, opening up your chest. That's one of the areas to reduce vagal tone. You want to either have your sleep rolls, and when you're on your back, a very small pillow of your neck. You don't want it pushing you forward. And still, ideally, a pillow under your knees. If you're the log, you're sleeping on your side, you should have a pillow between your knees. If you're the yearner, you want to have a pillow between your arms and a pillow between your knees. For any side sleeping, the pillow should be the width of your shoulders. All right. You don't want your head to be cocked underneath. You don't want your arm under your head. You don't want your hand under your head to tilt your neck or get your neck and your shoulder so close together that you're jamming your neck and shoulder, and then wonder why you wake up with a sore neck, or people call it kinked neck, or I slept bad. So getting measured, or bringing your pillow in to have it measured to make sure it fits you. The body pillows, if you're sleeping on your side, for under your arm and under your leg, both my husband and I have those, or you can spoon to help that proper posture, will make a difference. Whether both knees are bent like the fetus and both arms are bent, that is totally okay as long as the pillow's the right size. But what you don't want is have your wrist bent. And that's one of the challenges I have is I sleep with my wrist bent or under my neck or under my head or even under the armpits because that will stress the median nerve. And that's when you might need wrist splints, which is what I need because otherwise you get tingling numbness in your hands and affects carpal tunnel. The free faller sleeping on your stomach is the worst, especially if you have your neck turned. If your neck's turned, that totally rotates and causes subluxations of your neck. So if you are laying on your stomach, you want to make sure that your nose is in line with your sternum and your head is not turned right or left. And so you can buy pillows today to sleep forward. And you would want to make sure that your nose is straight in line. And then you still might have a pillow then under your feet to take stress off your lower back. And some people might even put a pillow under their midsection in order to help the lordotic curve of the low back, similar to like when you're getting a massage. Setting up a sleep schedule, super important, but there are ways to improve your sleep and to get professional help to reduce the stress on your body, to get back into that more melatonin and more REM sleep for quality and quantity of sleep. Naturopaths can very much help you with different supplements like melatonin, serotonin, valerian, different essential oils that can make a difference. Chiropractic can reduce the stress on your nervous system. Massage will relax the muscles and help with lymphatic flow. Acupuncture will reduce that stress and ghee the chi through the body. Our holistic nutritionist will look at your like a live blood cell analysis to see if you are stressed or you're not getting the nutrients you need or not absorbing. And if you are feeling really, really stressed, your mind is racing, I do recommend journaling right before bed, whether that's orally into your phone and recording it or written or just talking out loud. And then certainly talking to a psychologist. We have so many positive reviews, positive help with Linda, who's our counselor on our team. You're welcome to do a meet and greet with any of our team members, but most offices will offer a complimentary meet and greet to make sure it's the right fit for you to get the help you deserve. So definitely do a meet and greet. As you're looking towards the next 30 days to improve your sleep, here's a list of things that you can do to really start that quality sleep. Unplug, right? Get rid of the social media, the phones, the iPhones, the iPads, the laptops before bed. Black out your area of sleep. Make a sleep sanctuary. Wake up at the same time. Go to bed at the same time. Creating that routine before bed. Lowering the temperature. Making your bed in the morning. Limit or eliminate caffeine, especially after noon. No sugar, alcohol 2 hours before bed, getting your exercise in 2 hours before bed or more, making sure you get at least 10 minutes, but ideally 30 minutes of exercise a day, looking at healthy supplements for your adrenals and sleep, including magnesium that helps relax those muscles, and making sure you get adjusted to help your nervous system. I hope these amazing hints help you get your quality 15 hints that help you improve your sleep. We have many talks on quality of sleep and pillows and bedding and sheets. Check them out. Stay tuned with us. Share this with a friend. Do a review because that's what helps others get access to these amazing talks. We put them on for free for you because we care. So stay tuned and we have so much more for you.